I may get emotional, but that made up for a lot of rejection. I've come close before, um, very close, and didn't get it. So for this to happen, and I still, up until we went to film, I was thinking this is not going to happen, not going to happen, but it did.
That is incredible. Oh my goodness. Such a huge accomplishment. And obviously, this is a huge movie. I mean, millions
One
of
of the
people.
maybe the biggest this year. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
close.
Would you say this is your biggest role you've ever had?
Yeah.
This tops it.
Oh yeah.
I want you to talk a little bit more about just, you know, 30 plus years in the industry. You've seen it all, I'm sure.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, sorry, go ahead if you were going to
Well,
say.
there's, like a lot of actors, I started with background work, extra work, they call it, or background. And that's when you're in the background, you don't have any lines, and it's pretty demeaning a lot of times. There are some directors who recognize the value of having background that actually looks real. But a lot of times back then in LA, it was just stand here, do this, leave, you know. There wasn't, it was very unpersonal, and the exception was Henry Winkler. I worked with him as background on All of Me, and I was a mother in the background playing with her child. After we did that scene, he came over personally, shook my hand, and told me I did a good job, but that was rare. So there were dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of background work. This was after I got the commercial. I got the commercial and I thought I'm set. Uh, and then there were years of 2 years the first time and 2 years the second time, trying to get an agent, and actually get some work. So the second time I went, I got an agent, and she was very good. And I immediately booked a show called Ned's Declassified. And I play a woman who there's thinks an alien ship is coming to get her, and I have a colander on my head with Christmas lights. My favorite kind of role, weird, bizarre, broad comedy. I love that. And that's not Ma. She's very real, very subtle, very down to earth, very simple, but definitely not stupid.
How do you prepare for such a big role like this?
James did something brilliant. He sent a tape, an audio tape, of the tone, the accent, the dialect that he wanted. And it was from a woman in Kansas who was a farmer's wife. So that tape, I lived with that tape. I listened to it over and over and over every day for months. That was the main thing that gave me the flavor of Ma. And then the other thing that I did was I kind of combined my grandmother, who was a very stern, salt of the earth Christian woman, and my mother, who was a very gentle, loving, unconditionally loving person. So it was the combination of that tape, my mother, and my grandmother. And that gave me Ma.
Wow.
And it happened pretty quick after I got the tape. So then it was just a matter of honing the accent, because even though I'm from the South, there were things that she said differently than I would say them, so I had to focus on the differences and the tone, because she had a different speaking pattern than I did. So